Hi, Amanda. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, great, thank you. And so excited to be able to talk to you today because I've been a fan of yours for a long time, and I had a blast watching this movie, and I imagine you had a blast making it from what I've seen.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate the kind words and always nice to meet someone who is a little familiar with my work. So this is great.
Yeah, for sure. So, this film I think fits it. It's a very unique film. I know watching it as a member of the audience, I couldn't believe where it went and just the way it turns things on its head. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but for you, when you sat down and read the script, how much did you enjoy that experience?
Yeah, when I got sent the script, I really was not expecting to connect with it so much. But it really, I mean, what's crazy is we shot this in 2021. It's like it's been a process getting it out there. So it feels like so long ago, like who I was at that time. But I really resonated with Eve's journey of kind of living a life that you've been sold and told is like the dream, and then questioning, having something kind of disrupt all of that, and then really just kind of questioning the validity of what you've been sold, and then trying to uncover what is true for you, which is such an unraveling process that like I went through personally at the time that I was just kind of coming out of an experience of that when I was sent the script. And so I really resonated with her journey, and it just felt very aligned and cathartic to get to uh, put that into my acting, like an experience that I was coming fresh out of, to channel that into this performance was really cathartic, and probably why this movie will always kind of remain in my top three experiences that I've had in my career thus far, because it really was one of those rare experiences where like life imitating art really got to meet.
Yeah, well, that's fascinating. So, is it fair to say then that as an actor, it's actually quite appealing to, play someone whose world is falling apart around her as opposed to being quite a daunting task?
Yeah, no, I love that. I'm always like hungry for those experiences. I love just putting all of myself
Hmm.
into my work, and you don't always get the opportunity to do that. So when I do, it's like I just, yeah, there's such a hunger for that for me. So yeah, I love it. I eat it up.
Fantastic. And this film, it takes place in such, again, as an audience member, such beautiful surroundings. And of course, there's this sinister feeling, that this undertone of fear throughout how the story plays out. So what was it like for you to be in such a stunning location, but again, as an actor, to have to tap into that fear and paranoia?
Yeah, as far as I mean, we were on the Cayman Islands, and I think that our DP, JP Bernier, like he did such an incredible job of making the location a character in itself, and this kind of juxtaposition of something that seems so beautiful at first and then kind of turns haunting. I'm so sorry. Hold on. My neighbors are having like a leaf blower. Hold on. Interview. So on this, I'm doing it. Sorry, just on this side of the house, I'm doing an interview side, right? Um, Not on this side. I'm an interview. Okay, thanks. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. That was
No,
so
no,
loud.
please don't worry.
Sorry.
Talking bad timing.
I want you to have good sound. But anyways, as I was saying, the getting to film on the Cayman Islands, which was just so beautiful, and then our DP JP Bernier like just did such an incredible job of playing with the juxtaposition of the two, because that is kind of her experience of on the outside this beautiful perfect life, but then inside feeling so unsettled and kind of haunted by these things that she's suppressing. And so I think he did such an incredible job of capturing that visually. And for me, it I don't know. It didn't I did resonate a lot with what she talks about in the movie of like this place being having this like haunting feeling because it is just so picturesque and perfect all the time,
Yeah.
where you're like there must be something off, like this isn't true life, like life is not always perfect. But I will say that the Cayman Islands, like we shot this during the beginning of the pandemic, and so it was such a gift to be there, and the locals and the community there really welcomed us with open arms, and I was so grateful for that. And that ocean really kind of kept me sane during the shoot because it was so emotionally taxing. And I would just go in the morning, every morning, I'd just go out to the ocean and just kind of like cleanse myself of like whatever we filmed the day before. And is probably why I felt so healthy when I left. Whereas sometimes after doing a role like this, it can really kind of linger. And I feel like I left it all behind. It was like cleansed of me. So
Yeah, well, amazing. And you mentioned the ocean there. And again, I want to tiptoe around spoilers, but you get some very intense scenes in the water at various points in the film. So, how was that? And was it something that not particularly bothered you? As you said, you were spending a lot of time out in the water anyway.
yeah, I mean, it the daytime water stuff, great. Nighttime water stuff, a little bit different.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's colder, and you don't have the sun like beating down on you, and but the nighttime water stuff was mainly with Ashley Green, and she was just such a she kind of kept me going because there was times where I'm like I'm done, and she just kept going, and I was like, well, if she's going, I got to keep going. So she was a great support system during that time because I don't actually love the water in general. I don't know what it is, but I've never liked water. And so then at nighttime and then being cold, it's not fun. It's not ideal. So I really leaned on her for encouragement and support. And she's a tough girl. So it really motivated and inspired me.
Awesome. And talking of Ashley there, the two characters, it's such a rich and complex and quite a complicated dynamic between them. So to work with her and develop that quite intense back and forth. But what did you enjoy about that process?
I mean, I loved working with Ashley. I had never worked with her before, but obviously knew her career, and we kind of came up in the industry around the same time. And I think when you're younger, especially, the industry's changed so much, but when we were in our late teens, early 20s, I do think like that was a time where it was just kind of ingrained in you, especially as a woman, like everyone's your competition, and like, don't get too close to your competition, and like to not be supportive and encouraging of other women. And so it was so nice to get to meet her at our older age and in a time where I don't feel that way anymore. And so to kind of just um really experience that kind of sisterhood and rooting for each other in these roles and these performances. And I was really amazed at what she brought to the table and really loved collaborating with her and just kind of encouraging each other. Like she's a really hardworking actress. She was also at the time in the final phases of launching her own company, like a business. I was like, how are you doing this all? She just came off of like another movie that she did in the Cayman Islands beforehand. And so I was just also really blown away by all that she was kind of juggling while she was doing this like really intense role and then also like launching a business. She's a multi-hyphenate for sure.
Oh, amazing. Then at the same time, of course, another scene partner, Tom Felton. What did you
Yeah.
enjoy about working with him? Were you familiar with him and his Harry Potter work or?
So it's when I met him, I was just like, I have to be honest, I've never seen a Harry Potter movie, which I know is such a sin to say out loud, and his fans will come for me. Maybe it was better that way because I feel
Yeah.
like I really just got to meet him, and I was just so blown away by his talent. I loved working with him. He's such an incredible scene partner, and I feel like really brought out the best in me. And he was just so encouraging and supportive and a real like teammate. And I think sometimes when actors have come off of like a huge franchise like that, um, you know, it's a very kind of specific acting experience being on those kind of franchises. And so sometimes an actor has a harder time adapting to kind of smaller projects and kind of like the idea of getting in the trenches. And couldn't be further from the truth for Tom. Like he truly, truly loves acting and is so passionate about it. And I thought that was so it was really refreshing and kind of again the same way that Ashley really inspired me. Like Tom also really inspired me with the way that he was always pushing to get like to the heart of what a scene was about and the truth and everything and not just kind of phoning it in.
Yeah, it's really interesting. You obviously saying you hadn't seen those films, not to have that preconceived notion of who he was. It must have really freshened things up, as you said, which is quite a cool thing.
Yeah, yeah. No, he's so talented.
And then, of course, at the same time, you've got a director in Joel who obviously is an actor as well. So, as an actor, was it nice to have a director who he knows the craft in the same way you do and can help you in those more challenging scenes in a film like this one?
For sure. Yeah. It's always comforting working with the director who has an experience in acting because I feel like the way that they communicate with you is different. It's coming from a place of like, I know where you are. And there were a couple scenes that I really struggled with, and I felt so secure in his hands and also not judged too, because it can be so embarrassing when you are struggling in a scene and it's just not hitting. And I didn't feel that kind of shame or embarrassment with him because he's experienced it before. And I knew that like when he was saying that to me, it's true. Like he's like, I've been there. Don't even worry. It feels awful, but it's not like playing that way. And gave me the encouragement to kind of keep pushing through it. So I really enjoyed working with him. And I do think that a big part of that is because of his history and experience in acting.
Yeah, for sure. And there were so many great scenes you're in this film, and unfortunately, a lot of them do go into spoilers. But early on, there's that sequence on the beach where your character, she gets that devastating news, and she goes down to the beach and just sobs. You can just see that she's broken by what's happened. So, for you as an actor, how difficult is a day like that to get into that headspace and to give the film what it needs?
Yeah, it's honestly the hardest part of it for me is the anticipation and wondering, am I going to be able to get there? Once I'm there, like it's painful, but it should be because you're breaking. But I think there's also a part of me, probably my ego, that's like, yeah, I'm doing it. But it to me, the anticipation of the scene and will I be able to like get to the place that it needs, that is what is the most anxiety inducing part of it.
Absolutely. Well, Amanda, as I said, I followed your career as a fan from way back, going back to Final Destination 3 of all things. Then great film, but this is such a fantastic performance. It's so good to see you come into a movie like this one and to just get such a fascinating role to sink your teeth into. So thank you so much for taking the time to chat about it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time to watch it and ask such thoughtful questions.
Oh, well, thank you. I look forward to people seeing it. And again, thank you for your time. It's so lovely to meet you.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks, Amanda. Have a great day.
You too.